Okay. We are now recording. So thank you to those who came tonight. We're just going to kind of briefly go over some of the steps that are involved with pitching to us and kind of what that process looks like once you become funded. So just as a brief overview, there's the pitch where you'll share your vision with us, and then, eventually you'll get to cast and crew calls, and you'll send those to us as well. Reimbursements will be the biggest thing that you do in conjunction with us, and Emily will explain that in a little bit. That's probably the most important part to take away from this. And then distribution is just something at the end that's optional for any members. So first up, the pitch. These are things that you can include in your pitch. So a lookbook or pitch packet. This QR code has a link to a website that will give you an example of what that might look like. It really can be whatever you want. People have just done little collages before, full presentations. It's really your way of showing how visually your film will look and kind of introduce us to your characters, maybe give a log line, just so we can start to picture the world of your film and what your finished product will look like. You can also attach your script so we can see the story and get a sense of what you're trying to create. And then you'll need to submit a budget so we know what money is going towards. And then it can be anything else that you want to include. So it could be a video, it could be a proof of concept, it could be an outline, it could be really anything that you want to communicate and you want to share with us about your project. Any questions on that? So then cast and crew calls. So you'll do pre-production independently from us. We are here as a resource though, if you do need help, but you'll come back to us when you have a cast and crew call ready. And this is an example of something that a previous production did. They just created a little graphic, probably for their Instagram, that's about the cropping for this. And you just send it to us and we include it in our weekly presentations. And that just gives our members the opportunity to go out for your set. So that's pretty straightforward, but if you have any questions, feel free to pop in or put something in the chat. And then we get to reimbursements, which is the most important thing we'll talk about, and I'll let Emily take over.
Yeah, so the most important thing with reimbursements is to, 1, save all of your receipts, and 2, remember who bought what and what receipts correspond with what person. And you also want to make sure that your receipts are itemized receipts. So that means it's not just I bought this. It has the list of each individual thing you bought with how much they cost and then what you paid. Like pretty much most receipts are itemized. You might only run into problems if you're going to a small business that just hands you a stub. This would be in the next slide, but you want to fill out your expenses spreadsheet that when you get approved and when we give you your budget and everything, we send you a Google Drive folder that has all the stuff that you'll need in it. So the same thing with the receipts folder. You want to put PDFs of the receipts in your folder so that I can use them to submit the reimbursements. And then one of the big things too is if you have your if you don't have your direct deposit with Emerson set up, please do that. I don't know exactly how to do that, but if you have any questions, we can figure that out together. But essentially, if you don't have your direct deposit set up, it's going to take weeks longer to actually send you a physical check. And Seal just also doesn't like that we do that, so it'll be easier for you and for me.
You can do direct deposit under self-service. So if you go through the old MConnect, which is now emerson.edu/students, you can navigate from there to the page and it'll let you put in whatever bank number, however. I don't remember specifically, but I have done it. It's pretty easy. Once it's done, you don't have to worry about it. Anytime you get reimbursed, it'll always go there. Just one thing to point out is that we can't reimburse Venmo or PayPal. So if you're going to pay someone or anything like that, it's got to be a reimbursement directly from Seal.
So this is just a little bit of what the spreadsheet will look like. The most important things that you will all have to look at and pay attention to is on the right here. I know it says executive producer. We're going to change that wording. So it'll say whoever the reimbursement is for. So whoever purchases things, and this can be one person, this can be multiple people, you can just copy and paste it. But we need their name, their mailing address, and their Emerson ID number. That's really important. And the other thing to pay attention to, and this is kind of obvious, but we've had a few issues in the past, so I just want to make sure that we're paying attention to your total spend and your funds available. That will update automatically, so you don't have to do any math. You just need to pay attention to that. Next slide. So these are things that we cannot reimburse. Some of these are fairly obvious, some of them aren't, but I'm just gonna kind of go through them anyways. So anything illegal to possess or alcohol, cigarettes, or related paraphernalia, we can't pay for any citations, fees, or fines. No furniture, no animals, no Airbnbs, no tips over 20%. Any items that aren't permitted in the residence halls, we can't reimburse. Same thing, Venmo and PayPal transactions, that kind of thing. Any Bon Appetit charges or print copy charges. If you have someone who is not an Emerson student paying for these things, we can't reimburse them. So you want to pay attention to that. Also, we can't touch anything that is not approved travel. If you're traveling, if it's not approved, we can't reimburse you. And then you want to make sure that you get your receipts in quickly, because we can't reimburse a purchase if it's more than 30 days old. So the date on the receipt, if it's more than 30 days old, we can't do anything with it. And then if you have something requiring a contract, like you are locking down a location and you want to work with a composer, come to us beforehand and ask us about it. It's definitely an interesting process that I can't guarantee, especially with composers, I can't guarantee that it will work. We're still working that out with Seal and with our composers, but we can talk about it. So if you want to do that, come to us beforehand.
Yeah, and all these rules come directly from Emerson. So this isn't us coming up with anything arbitrary. This all comes directly from Seal and what they tell us that we can reimburse for you guys.
Yeah, and then some additional rules. One of the big things that we've had some confusion about in the past is you can't submit something for a partial reimbursement. So if you have a budget of $200 and you have a purchase that was $250, you can't submit it and then ask for $200. We can't do partial reimbursements on receipts. Any shoots that require firearms, smoke or fog machines, live animals, or young children will require a special permission, and we can't financially support you without prior approval. Any shoots that require access to buildings or locations after hours may also require additional permission, and that kind of ties in with we can't support you financially if you don't have that permission. Any travel not accessible by the T has to be registered with Seal, again, before any related expenses can be approved and reimbursed. You have to have your required registrations and permits before your expenses will be approved. You can use taxi and rideshare services. If the taxi and rideshare service was used on a trip, the trip has to be registered with Seal. That's not an issue. So you can use taxi and rideshare services. And then when traveling with a taxi company, just request an itemized receipt, or if you're using like Uber or Lyft, just take a screenshot of your receipt. And again, these are all rules directly from Emerson.
So once you get to the end of your film and you're ready to share it with the world, we have a semesterly showcase where we allow our members to share whatever work that they've created throughout the semester that they're proud of or they just want to get out there. So if you do finish your film with the semester, or you have a proof of concept, or an early version that you want to share, this is completely optional, but there'll be a form a little later on in the semester where you can submit, and then we're hoping to have some sort of outside venue to have everyone come and watch the films and kind of get to support each other's work. So then this is also a kind of important slide. These are just resources that we've accumulated for you guys to use. It's not done yet. It's a constant work in progress, but if you go, it's a Google Doc. So we'll be adding to these as well periodically as we find new resources. But it has info on screenwriting, on pre-production, post-production tips, cinematography, and looking at frames and things. So I think it'll be really helpful if you have any resources that you find that you want to share. Feel free to email those to us as well. And Emily, I don't know if you have anything to add to that. No. Anyone have any questions at this point? No. Okay. So that brings us to the end. It is a really simple process as far as working with us goes. We can be as involved or as not involved as you want us to be. So in terms of the steps of your production, in terms of pre-production and getting ready to film and permits and things, we are here as a resource. We have our YouTube channel, which has all our past meetings from the past year, where we go into these things a little more in depth, but we are here for you. So this is not the only time you can ask questions. That is the process from start to finish in terms of just what you'll use with us. So this is the form to pitch to us, and we really hope you do. We are excited to see what people are writing and what they want to create, and we really want to support you in this. So now is the time to ask any questions if you have any. Yes, Celine.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, is there a certain number of productions that you guys approve per semester, or is it just however many pitch?
It will be, we have a certain budget that we have in mind. If we don't exceed that budget, like if people aren't asking for, large amounts of money and we can sort of give out, basically, I don't think we will hit the ceiling for where we would have to not allow or approve a production. It's always possible, so don't quote me on that. But the budget's probably going to be $200 unless you have some sort of super crazy production, and then we can talk about it. But most productions will be getting about $200 unless they need less or ask for less.
Yeah, we have had people appeal before for more later on if they have unforeseen things that they need additional money for. That would just be, like Emily said, a separate meeting with Emily C again to kind of see what the money is needed for and kind of how we can help in that way. But again, it's not guaranteed. It is really depending on what we have available to give. Any other questions?
Sorry, can I ask another one?
Yeah, definitely.
Is there like a certain time frame within we have to pitch, or is it any time that we want to pitch?
I think the deadline was originally this week, but I would say that you'd want to do it in the next 2 weeks. So you have time to get into pre-production and hopefully start filming. Any other questions? Going once? Going twice? Okay, so I am going to stop recording.